All right, class, what's up? It's Dr. Jason. We are going to get into this week 2 video. It is up to me to keep this thing 15 minutes, 16 minutes-ish, and so we're going to do that. First thing I need to do is try to respond to some of the concerns that were mentioned during the discussion post. And again, I apologize. It's just been baptism by fire right now, and as just to let you guys know, this is my first semester actually teaching in CISL, and it's my first time teaching this foundations class to the learning objectives that are stated, the student learning outcomes that are stated here at CISL, and those vary from when I taught this course at the University of South Carolina as a PhD student. And I have to kind of teach this class to how the student learning outcomes are done here at Mizzou. So part of that process is, yes, I do have to teach to, I'll be able to adapt the course a little bit more in the future, but I have to teach this course the way it's being taught by the other professors for my first semester here and not deviate from that course too much, but not deviate from how the course is being taught elsewhere too much, because if I do that, then we have students learning different student learning outcomes, and that just gets to be a little bit of a mess. One thing that they're really trying to drive home is that the students in this program are learning similar things. Nobody is being shortchanged or getting less than other students. So having said that, I'm working on a bit of a shell. This course is a shell course, and it looks like some elements of the shell are not converting to my class from properly from how they were delivered from some of the other instructors in the program who are also teaching 7305. So in saying that, okay, one of the readings I just can't get, it's actually a PowerPoint. I just can't get this one transferred, and this is Wendy. Thank you, Wendy, for bringing that to my attention, the error that was going on there. This is the Greer et al. And Rubin PowerPoint for Module 1. That's no longer a required reading. Don't even worry about it. I apologize that it's not available. And that's something that I'm going to have to obtain from the other professor that is teaching this course this semester. I'll obtain that and make some modifications to it next semester, but unfortunately that apparently did not carry over properly. Another thing that doesn't appear to have carried over properly, and I appreciate you bringing this to my attention, Stephanie, is it looks like the rubric got uploaded into 2 areas on the course shell. So I have requested another copy of the actual instructions for this assignment. And once those are delivered to me, I will put them back into the course site. And from there, I will extend the due date for assignment number 2 to give you guys appropriate time to get that completed. One thing that I'm not going to do, and please know this, one thing that I'm not going to do is leave you with an inadequate amount of time to complete your assignments. Whenever we have technical difficulties, I am going to give you increased time so that you will be able to finish what you are supposed to be doing. As far as Zoom is concerned, yes, when I start doing online office hours at that time, if you need instructions on how to download Zoom, we will get those to you at that time. You will not be required to attend the online synchronous office hours once I start offering them. That is going to be an optional thing. Also, Zoom is free and no one should have to pay to download and install that. So if you are coming to some issue wherein you are being asked or forced to pay for Zoom, let me know and I will forward that to our tech guys and see what the problem is. That should not be happening. For right now, you are not going to need Zoom for this class, although you may need it for another class that you're taking, particularly if it's a class with synced sessions. Everything in Module 2 should now be live, as should everything in Module 1. If you are still having access problems, please let me know. Not everything in the later modules is currently accessible. Please do, you're more than welcome. If you're one of those go-getters, you are definitely more than welcome to go into those modules that have available content on them right now and take a look and browse around. But one thing that I want to do is kind of, I want to keep everyone on relatively the same page, at least as much as I can. And again, this the delivery of the course here is a little different from what I was doing with Blackboard in South Carolina. So this Canvas thing with Mizzou is just a little interesting. It's a little different. You may have to be on the instructor's side to really realize how much of a change this is. Not that I'm trying to make excuses. I'm just trying to explain some of the complications that are going on and apologize for those. But I'm not going to make Module 3 completely live until next week. So there are still some elements that are not visible in Module 3. I want to check over those things again before I make them live. And that is going to be the case for the future modules. If you see some elements in the future modules that are currently active, as I said, if you're a go-getter, you can definitely go ahead and take a look at those, but also know that those may be subject to modification prior to the when they become the official week's module. So I do want to just kind of put that in your ear. This the other class that I'm teaching, which is the reference class this semester, we actually do have it divided into weeks, and it's not just module based and self-paced. So this is two different approaches to these classes, and I'm trying to work around that. So I appreciate your patience with that as well. And like I said, with week 3 and any of the modules after week 3, there may be some changes that I need to make before, module 3 and modules after module 3. There may be some changes that I need to make before they really go live. And if it's something that you can't see right now, then it means that there are changes that I do plan to make to it. Okay, so hopefully now that we have discussed all that, I'm hoping that I covered everything that needed to be covered related to what was in the questions discussion board. By the way, I will be getting to grading those assignments when I get back from Greensboro. So I'll be doing some of that on Labor Day and afterwards, which the assignment is due on the 30th, which is tomorrow when I am recording this, but may be some other time depending on when you actually get to see this video. However, that said, what I wanted to do was, because our topic for this module is the library and the history of ideas, I wanted to kind of think about that for a second because, and you guys can Google this quote. It is the democracy statement from ALA, and specifically they lead in with a partial quote from former President Franklin Roosevelt, where he says libraries are essential to the functioning of a democratic society. Libraries are the great symbols of the freedom of the mind. Now, obviously, FDR made this quote prior to the emergence of the World Wide Web and these various technologies that bring information to us at rapid paces that previous presidents and previous generations couldn't have even fathomed. So we are living in a totally different time. And so it begs the question, are libraries still essential to a functioning democratic society? ALAs definitely believe so, and you don't have to because it's not part of your assigned readings. But if you want to Google, like I said, ALA democracy statement, you will find what ALA has to say about democracy and how libraries play a part. But in a lot of library rhetoric, you will see things that center around or go, that sort of show agreement with this quote from FDR about how libraries are the cornerstone for a functioning society and a functioning democracy, and how libraries are going to be essential if a functioning democracy is to exist. Now, we get a lot of our information these days, or the general public does, not from libraries, but from cable news and stuff that's on the internet, and TED Talks, which we have a TED Talk assigned to you in your assigned readings. But let's think about this from another angle. I'm about to show you a clip. This is a very political clip. And what I don't want you guys to do is focus necessarily on the content of the politics, because clearly the person who's saying this is a liberal, and I know there are probably conservatives in this class, and I don't want you guys to be polarized by the politics of it. But what I want you to keep in mind is the aspects of democracy associated. Let me play the clip. Hold on.
Period.
Max.
Not only am I not backing up, I want to take it further now, because Stephen A. just now and both of us yesterday talked philosophically about how you have to make a choice. You have to weigh the evidence, weigh what's in front of you, and make a choice, even if you feel like the choice is suboptimal. Because if you're waiting for everything to be perfect, it's the enemy of the good. The perfect is the enemy of the good. Just make the best choice you can. If it means incremental change, fine, whatever. But we spoke broadly philosophically about this. Now I want to talk specifically about, because Colin Kaepernick, I'm angry about it, is so outrageous. The only thing I can think is that he is susceptible to low-quality information. The internet means we have a lot of information, but if you don't have the faculties, if you don't have the ability to process it and sift out what's good quality information from low quality information, you are susceptible to the kind of conclusions Colin Kaepernick has drawn. Let me be specific. He says systematic oppression of I guess, black and brown lives, right? That's what he was protesting. And that neither the candidates are the same, essentially, in that sense. It's idiotic. That is idiotic. Now, look, let me go through the list. You care about black and brown lives? What do you think about stop and frisk, which was found to be unconstitutional? How do you think that has an effect on the way police and the communities they interact with? What kind of outcomes do you expect from practices that are considered unconstitutional? Remember stop and frisk in New York City? Rudy Giuliani, he might be the head of the Department of Justice. What kind of outcomes are you expecting then? How about this? Forget about the Supreme Court for a second, which has a tremendous influence on issues like this. For example, illegal search and seizure. I mean, they make those rules, and that has a direct effect on the policing of communities. Now, if Kaepernick feels like, hey, harsher law and order rules are actually good for people of color, okay, fine, then you vote one way. If you think, no, it makes bad outcomes, then you vote another. But it's more, and it's deeper than that. The president also appoints lower federal judges who have great discretion in terms of sentencing guidelines. How about this? Because Jason Whitlock brings this up a lot. If you're talking about black and brown lives matter, in fact, interaction with police is not nearly as important as mass incarceration, which this election will also have an enormous impact on. For example, drug laws. I brought up search and seizure. I brought up all these other drug laws. They're finally starting to untangle the drug laws through the court, which will alleviate the problem over time of mass incarceration. If that gets all stitched back together, which based on who Trump is likely to appoint versus who Hillary was likely to appoint, it likely will get stitched back together. What do you think is going to happen to mass incarceration of black and brown folk? I mean, the idea that he treats both candidates the same because of systematic oppression as though they will have no effect on the system is so juvenile. It's either juvenile or extremely lazy. Shame on you, Colin Kaepernick. Smarten up, kid. He's not a college player. He's an adult, and he talks about how he's becoming socially conscious and he's getting his eyes open. Open them a little bit wider. How about this? Google it. It takes 5 seconds. How hard is this stuff? It is outrageous for him to make those comments.
So we're back into the module now, but I wanted to leave that with you, and what I want you guys to do is just kind of think and reflect on that a little bit. Again, please do not get caught up in the politics. That is not the goal. But I want you to think, just because we have access to the internet, just because we have access to 24-hour cable news cycles, does that mean that the library is placed in a functional society, a functional democratic society, a functional democracy, a functional republic, however you want to phrase and package it? Has our place been diminished? Rightfully so. Because we are not just the brokers of information, but we can also teach people skills on how to effectively evaluate information. And what we don't want is for democracy to hinge upon those who are susceptible to low quality information. So that's my time. We're almost at 16 minutes. I'm going to cut it here. Thanks so much. There's going to be an optional thread going up today as well. Thanks for your time. Let's have fun. Peace.